Gino's East is one of Chicago's most famous deep dish pizza places. They've been open since 1966. And there are still some people who don't realize Gino's East is here in LA now too. And let me tell you, it feels like you're in Chicago when you're in there. I know, I'm in there a lot. And during the week, Gino's has a happy hour from 3 to 6, Monday through Thursday. Get $5 drinks like Stella and Dark Horse Chardonnay. Also, $6 eats like spinach artichoke dip, garlic breadsticks, and a jumbo bowl of fries. There's so much great stuff on the menu. I always have a difficult time deciding what to order at Gino's. My go-to is probably the tavern pizza, cheese and sausage. You know what? Everything is my go-to there. Deep dish, the Italian beef, you name it. Everything on that menu is fantastic. Gino's East of Chicago and Los Angeles was named Best Pizza in the Southland by LA Times readers 2 years in a row. It's more than just a Chicago restaurant. It's one of the best restaurants in LA. Check out the friendly confines of Gino's East LA today on the corner of Coldwater Canyon and Riverside Drive, just off the 101. See you there.
Sit back and relax. It's time for peanuts, popcorn, and Cracker Jacks.
Hey, how's it going? I'm your host, Jeff Santo, and I'm here with my wife, Christie.
Hello, hello.
Well, it's been a minute.
Sorry about that. We took a little bit longer of a break than we told you we were going to do.
Yes, we did.
But we did a production, and it came out great. And we're really happy with it, and everyone worked really hard, and it was wonderful. And that's not the reason why we didn't come back after that 2 weeks. We got the news that my mom has stage 4 breast cancer, and her health has quickly diminished. And so I've had to travel back and forth to the San Francisco Bay Area. So we are back now. And we do not want to drone on and on and on about the horrible end of life situation and struggles that most of you already know and are dealing with yourself. But I will say that my mom, just want to give you a little bit of information about who my mom is. And she was a flight attendant in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. For TWA Airlines. Mm-hmm. And so she's an incredibly sociable woman who has a small talk that could put anyone to shame. She really could talk small talk with anybody. And she's surrounded by a lot of friends. And she's very sweet and very kind and very generous. And she also is a procrastinator and stubborn and can't make her own decisions.
Yeah.
And I love her so much. And so I just want to dedicate this episode to my mom, Adrienne Collins.
Very nice, babe. And I have to say, you have been there for your mother. And I know you guys had some difficult times when, you were a teenager and stuff, and mother-daughter relationships, sometimes aren't easy. But the love that you have given your mom through this difficult time, I have witnessed it. You have been an amazing daughter, making sure that she's getting the right care. So really proud of what you've been doing.
Thank you, my love.
And our episode today.
Yes, we are bringing out one of our exclusive contents. So if you want to listen to this commercial-free, go ahead and subscribe on Apple or our Patreon and listen to it commercial-free. Otherwise, it is here for you.
Joey Amalfitano, we did what were called the Clubhouse tapes, where I would interview someone from the 1969 season, whether they were a coach or they were around the ballpark, teammate. And Joey Amalfitano was a coach for the Cubs, a very dear friend of my father's. And he was the bench coach for Leo, so he had some real good inside stuff about that season.
Great stories.
Great stories. Can't wait for you to hear it. So enjoy.
Enjoy.
This podcast is brought to you by Bernie's Tap and Grill. It's family owned and operated since 1954. Located across from Wrigley Field on Clark and Waveland. My dad hit a few home runs on the Waveland Avenue, and Bernie's was my dad's favorite place to go. It's got delicious food, 4 full-service bars, an awesome beer garden, a sidewalk patio cafe, and a cool upstairs area. It's the place I've always met my friends at before and after games. Go on by and tell Linda Dillman Jeff Santo sent you. Bernie's Tap and Grill, where you go when you go to Wrigley.
Joe, Jeff Santo.
Jeff, we ready to go? I'm going to go downstairs in my manhole. Just bear with me.
You got it, man. Absolutely.
Man, my manhole.
By the way, I told my mom you said hello, and she lit up. And just please tell her I said hello.
Well, yeah, she's a sweetheart. I really. Your mother.
Yeah.
And I know, I said this to you in our last conversation, that Yosh used to rave about her. He really did.
Right, he did. He sure did.
He was selling your mother's stock. That was he.
Yeah. You know, you're probably the only guy around that knows Durocher. I mean, you know Durocher better than anybody.
Well, I don't know about anybody. But go ahead.
That's kind of around now as far as like you were there in 1954 with them, with the Giants.
Yes, I was.
What was your first impression of Leo Durocher when you met him?
Well, I'll tell you what. From the first meeting and my whole 2 years there with the New York Giants, and I was there because of a rule at that time. If you received over $6,000 in a signing bonus, you had to stay on the major league roster, not only the 40-man roster, but the 25, and I was one of those guys. So Jeff was saddled with a very inexperienced, I don't know how talented I was, but anyway, very inexperienced player. So my first meeting with him, I was supposed to be in the Adams Hotel lobby in Phoenix, Arizona for my first meeting with him. And it was supposed to be like 11 or 11:30, 11 o'clock, something like that. And it was 11:45. And it wasn't in the lobby yet. I had never met the man, but I knew by pictures what he looked like.
Right.
And so I had not been to Mass that morning. So I took off and went to church. I went to Mass. And I came back, and it was walking distance from the Adams Hotel at the time. And there he was in the lobby and just surrounded by then a number of writers. Now they got a writer for every player. But anyway, I introduced myself to him, and he said, "You were supposed to be here at 11." I says, "I was, but you weren't here, and I hadn't been to Mass." And Mr. Stolham, the owner of the team, he was there. They were going to have a little press conference there. Then we did, and then we had to go up in the elevator to take a photo by the pool at the hotel. And he laid into me, Jeff. Oh my God! He said, where were you? And he said, Mr. Durocher, I hadn't been to Mass, and I didn't want to miss Mass. And Mr. Stolham, he intervened for me right there. He says, "Leave the young man alone."
Oh man!
So that was my introduction. Took a picture with him and smiling and all that. I still have that picture. And for 2 years, I don't know if he ever said hello to me. I'm exaggerating that. He said I got into a couple of games, and I got into one game where I messed up running the bases, and he got this particular game. He was ejected, so the game was over. We fortunately won, but I did mess up on the bases, and my locker was between John Antonelli and Monty Irvin.
Wow.
And it doesn't get better than that. Well, anyway,
yeah, right.
So he come down in street clothes, and that was my uniform, and faced him in the locker, and he laid into me there. I'll always remember, said, if I ever he didn't put me in the game. Herman Frank said, because Leo, like I said, was ejected. He said, if I ever put you into a game and you do that again, I'll send you so far, they'll never find you with a 3-cent stamp. That was my first 2 years with him, which I never thought our paths would cross again because I went to the minor leagues after that. But then he came back out of retirement and named manager of the Cubs, and I was a player on that team. And but long story short, I guess I remember he said a couple of nice things to me when I was playing for the Giants. You know, after I spent 4 years in the minor leagues where I should have started, but I didn't because of the rule.
Right.
And I kept my eyes and my ears open, you know, and I learned some stuff. And one thing I did by sitting watching all those major league games, I figured out what my skills would do to allow me to play in the big leagues, and I really concentrated on that when I went to the minor leagues. I really did the way I would have to play with my skills in order to play in the major leagues, and evidently I was able to do that. But okay.
So in '66, when he came, you're on the Cubs. You got to the Cubs in '64, right?
Yes.
Just after Kenny Humbs was killed in the plane crash, right? So did you feel that when you got there? Obviously.
Oh yes, I did. I remember meeting his dad and all that. I was a non-roster guy in the California, which was at that time the Los Angeles Angels, which became the California Angels. Right. I was in their spring training camp as a non-roster player, and it was getting close to the teams breaking for the season. And I remember Fred Haney was a GM, and he called me into his office and said that the Cubs were very much interested in me, and the Angels were liked me, and I was going to make their team, but he couldn't guarantee me the whole year because they had other minor leaguers and whatever. You know, he projected where this team was. So, and he goes, and the way I look at it, Joe, if you go with the Cubs, I think you would have 2 or 3 years there. Well, you know, I didn't know. I took his advice in 2 or 3 years. Yeah, I'll take that. So I became a Cubby. I remember I joined the team in Mesa, and we had a dinner cookout. The first night I was in that thing. Your dad, yeah.
Is that the first time you met my dad? Right then?
Yeah. Well, I across the field. You know, we were. I was in a Giant uniform. Dad was a Cubby, and that's the first time I actually met him.
Wow.
Yeah, and all of them, Ernie and Billy Williams. You know, those teams there. Your dad. When you look at it, Jeff, I think it was 5 future Hall of Famers on that team, or 4 or 5. Or your dad, Billy Williams, Ferguson Jenkins, Ernie Banks. Am I missing somebody? I don't know.
Anyway. Those are the 4. Those are the 4. But, you know, they had also Beckert and Kessinger, who were great.
Oh, yeah.
Hunley behind the plate. Yeah. And
well, the unfortunate accident and death of Hubbs, they at that time they didn't have it. I think it was Jimmy Stewart so I was kind of a backup infielder, and then I got a chance to play one night in Houston, I guess, and I had a little bit of a streak, and I got to play some, which kept me around playing on the field till I don't know what the hell it was, 60.
Well, then
60s.
Yeah, and then when Durocher came, were you one of the first player coaches, or do they do that a lot?
I was not a player coach. I was a coach, and that all happened. You don't want to hear about that, but you know.
Okay, but Leo comes in '66, and that's when kind of you saw the transition of the Cubs too, because that's when kind of like Beckert, Kessinger, and Hunley and Fergie got there. So
yes, yeah.
So you saw the team really maturing. So when it came to 1969 at spring training, you're one of Leo's coaches, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
And did you feel that year was the year these guys were finally going to do it?
Well, I think we all did. And you know, especially the guts of that team, which was your dad, Ernie, and Billy, and they acquired Fergie in a trade with Philadelphia, and Beckert came on the scene. He was a minor leaguer. He worked his way through the system, and then they made a trade and got Hunley and Billy Hands from from the Giants for Len Gableson and some guys. I don't know what that. I don't remember all that. But they put together a pretty good team, and we got onto a roll and played real good. I mean, the city of Chicago really got excited along with all the players, all of us. To see the upper deck never being used, or nobody sat up there because we didn't draw that well prior to this team getting hot in '69. We started to draw a little bit in '68, I believe, but in '69, when we started to make a statement, I can remember that the upper deck started to be filled up, and as the story goes, this is the truth that the fans, with the excitement of the game, would stomp on their feet on the floor of the upper deck. Well, what it did, the paint, the place had never been painted in a long while, and the paint on the underneath the upper deck started to fall down on the people down below. Understand?
Yeah.
So we went on the road. I remember this. We went on the road, and Mr. Wrigley, P.K. Wrigley, he had the whole joint. He had painted. Yeah, we went on a road trip, and it came back. It was all painted.
Oh, wow.
Wow. I can still remember driving down Irving Park to go to the stadium, Jeff, and to see those buses, city buses early in the morning with the mothers and the little kids going. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah, sure
the
was.
Excitement. Yeah. Very, very memorable.
Yeah, and also that when in the spring, it seemed like you guys were missing a center fielder. Do you remember when they brought Don Young in there? And
yes,
did you think going with the rookie could be kind of a risk, or what were your thoughts on that as a coach?
Well, I think what we did as a staff felt that we wanted a guy in center field that could go catch it and throw it. Because we had your dad and Ernie and Billy Williams, and Beck was getting on base, and Kessinger was doing a great job, and we had Hickman. We looked like we were pretty good, but we wanted some defense there. And then we had this game in Shea Stadium, which a lot of people focused on that game. That's not what happened to us. Maybe we were inexperienced as a group to be where we were. Did we mishandle it? No. Did we get tired? A bit of fatigue might have set in. And then with the fatigue, maybe some doubt started to happen. Understand? I don't know. But it was a memorable season, also one that you will not forget because of what happened at the end. And I can remember Leo telling me privately of all the things that he has done in baseball, which were a lot. He is a Hall of Famer.
Yep.
The most disappointing thing in his baseball life was not winning a pennant for the Cubs and Mr. Wrigley and the city of Chicago. He said that to me. This is what he was done. He was done. He goes, Joe, I look back on all that. And it's coming from him. He's tougher than an old roofing nail, that guy.
Right.
And to him to say that, it hurt. It hurt him. Yeah, it hurt.
Yeah, my dad carried that season his whole life too.
Sure did. Yeah.
Because he's there in '60, and he was on those teams with the college of coaches, and it's like they were ready to win. And he said, like you, Joe, he said he loved that season. That season, they lost, but it was a wonderful season. Just the excitement, the bleacher bums, all of it. Yeah. And it's just like people are saying, they say, oh, Durocher, played the guys too many innings. But that's how many innings they played back then. My dad's like, you couldn't take me out. No one wanted to sit.
Who in the hell ever heard of a closer? I'm talking about pitching now. When you pitch not to the pitch count. You pitched till they started to hit you, and that was it. You were in there. But now it's the pitch count or number of innings, whatever gets you first. And here comes somebody to pitch. Here comes somebody to pitch the sixth. Here comes somebody to pitch the seventh. And here comes somebody to pitch the eighth. And if you don't have a guy that can pitch the ninth, you're not going to go to the dance. You don't win. You don't win.
It's unbelievable.
And the guy that finishes well, anyway, we can get into this.
Yeah, no, but
money,
that's the difference. Yeah, the money. Yeah,
the money.
You know, even in this season, Joe, I'm just watching, and you're like, why are you taking this guy? He's given up 4 hits, and you take him out before the 7th inning. You know, and now who you bring in the 7th is really what matters, right? Because it's like, if this guy doesn't keep the tone of the game going, they start picking away, and they're like, oh, great, they took out the guy we couldn't hit. You know?
Yeah.
That's back to '69. You know, you hear all these things. It's like, oh, the Don Young game that got knocked, but that Don Young game, you guys started playing well after that.
No, what the hell? What about some pitcher that hung a pitch or something, or you know, you're gonna lose a certain amount of games and you're gonna win a certain amount of games. So that's about it. You know, if you're winning. Tommy Lasorda had a great saying. He used to break it down into 3 groups, and right at the moment I don't remember. I can't remember my name, but anyway, there's a third of them you're going to lose, a third of them you're going to lose, and then a third you got to be lucky. Something like that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you got the right combinations.
162 games, but to zero in on one game. There's 162 of those suckers, and boy, you can go back and like you're talking about Don Young. I'm sure that something happened before there that, if you isolate your thoughts on it, would cause it anyway. No, if anything, but like your dad said, and that's true. You just played. Those guys played. There was no. Analytics today they're good, but the analytics sometimes, what it does, it makes you as a staff member, I think, because I haven't worked under that analytical stuff, but I think what it does, it makes you forget that there's a human being in the uniform. I can tell you stories coaching for the Dodgers about Tommy when we were going to make pitching changes. Where the analytic people would probably tell you, and the sheets would tell you, hey, you got to get this guy out of there. Well, we didn't do that, you know, because we didn't have that information.
Yeah.
So we had the gut feel of the guy that's on the mound. Totally. Does that guy on the mound have the mind, the heart, and the belly? Your father had all 3 of those. Those guys, they're like Bernie and Billy. They had all 3 of them. They had those, and they were tied together. Those things. But when you got, I hope you understand, because I'm big on that. I've told Giant ownership, I've told their executives, what you guys have done here. Yeah, you forgot there's a human being in a uniform.
Yeah. You know, and that's why, like in '69, you hear some of the things that, you know, well, they pitched Regan too much. Leo did this. And it's like, everyone was pitching innings. Everyone was playing innings. Did you think, like, you know, for instance, like a catcher like Randy Huntley, I think he played 158 games that season, right?
Yeah. Well, if anybody would have been tired, it'd been him. Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah. I didn't realize. We had Jim. I don't know who had Jim Hicklin back. No, not Jim. Excuse me.
No, you had Oliver and I think Ken Rudolph. Gene Oliver.
Ken Rudolph. That's it. Yeah. Well, actually, Oliver was kind of a first base pinch hit deluxe. That's what he was. Yeah. You're right. That's Rudolph. No. Well, what happens there? When you go to Hundley or those guys, you're going from caviar to bologna. That's what's going on.
Right. Yeah. So that was kind of Leo's.
And when you have to sign that card, you want to win every damn game you can. You really do. But then you got to have that foresight at times. Hey, this guy needs a blow. And like your dad said, hey, Leo managed the 54 Giants. They won everything. I was on that team. I was on the team, but I had a best seat in the house. I was in a dugout every day. I got to watch all these games. Right. But those guys played forever. Mays played every game. They played. There was no analytics. There was no, you need rest, or the sun is out, the moon is out, the stars say you can't play today. Well, what the hell? You just played.
Right. So
So what was it then? What did you think it was come September?
Well, September. Well, but somebody forgot about the Mets. They just don't have one. That's all. I mean, their record from I think the last 50-something games, they've won 47 of them.
Yeah, God.
That's pretty tough. That's almost, Jeff, look at today. I think it's Tampa Bay. There's a saying in baseball, when you get to 20 or 25 games, get to 20 games, start thinking about the playoffs. When you make 25 over 500, print the tickets. That's the saying.
Right.
Print the ticket.
Wow.
Well, that's where Tampa Bay is. Detroit did that one year. They come out of the chute and just waltz all the way through it. Well, is that going to happen again? I have no idea. I don't know.
Yeah, it's almost like that year, like you said. It was, hey, you couldn't stop the Mets, but to say that everyone, maybe they got tired because of day baseball. I mean, did you feel that
could
was
be. That could be. That could be. Could be. Yeah. But it's a different life. It's a different life. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's a different life. Yeah.
And my dad always, I know my dad lived with that season all the way till the end. That's the way my dad was,
Oh, yes, he was. I remember him, but the first time he clicked his heels going to the clubhouse after a victory, and it became a tradition. All of a sudden, the fans are waiting for it, almost like it was his signature. Sinatra has his signature song, My Way. You understand what I mean? Elvis Presley, he's got a signature. Your dad had his signature. I can still see Sparky Anderson standing there looking out and waiting to see Ronnie, because they don't do what they do today, or go everybody shakes hands. He would trot to the dugout because he was on the field at the top of the ninth, and if we don't have to hit in the bottom of the ninth, he would go right, and then as he got about 10 yards from the door, he'd jump up and click his heels. That was his signature. Some teams, they say, took offense to that. That's a bunch of... I don't believe that.
Exactly. Yeah,
Geez, if that was the case today, with some of these guys doing, they hit a home run or something. Oh my God! I'll tell you one thing. When I don't watch that much of it anymore, but some of those guys, they put on those theatrical shows. I think of Bob Gibson. I think of Don Drysdale. Thank God that Sandy never threw at any of us. And there were certain guys that were headhunters. I can remember hitting a ball in Wrigley Field off of Drysdale pretty good. I hit it. I thought I got it. But unfortunately, Tommy Davis jumped up in the ivy there in left field. I'm out. So I had to go back to the dugout on the third base side, as you know. And I go between short and the mound. And that Drysdale was a tall guy anyway. And he looks even taller now. He's on the mound. And we knew each other. And he says to me as I'm trotting, going back to the dugout, "Hey, Joe, you're swinging that bat pretty good." I went and sat down. I didn't think of it. I said, "Well, I'm going to come up the next time. Right-handed hitter in my left sleeve, out my right sleeve, right around my ass." I went down. So then I went to have dinner at the cottage, and he was in there. So he said, "Hey, Joe, come on, I'll have dinner with me." And I sit down with him, and I said, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" "Sure, what is it?" "Well, what'd you throw at me for?" "Because you're swinging that bat pretty good." "Yeah, I'm hitting 240. What do you do that to me for?" Yeah, but that's the way it was. The reason I'm bringing that up has nothing to do with the Cubs.
Oh, I love it.
But I'm thinking about the way it was.
Yeah.
And now, oh, God almighty, the shows that some of those guys put on. I mean, I wonder if they get rehearsed in their rooms during the day. If I hit one tonight, like Jeff, like you're auditioning for a film.
Right. Yeah, totally. It is so, the game has changed so much. It even seems more, the rules change now, and they're making the game go faster, but you're really starting to see like these pitchers and players are boxed in. You don't see the same consistency anymore from these players. Even the hitters, very few are doing it year in and year out. They get these big contracts, and not like the guys in your era where they were putting it up for, 15 years, at least for 10 for sure,
I think the best example of that was that I was fortunate enough to play on the same team in New York and San Francisco as Willie Mays.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
He was by far, he was the best. That's plain and simple. He was the best. Yeah.
The best you ever saw, Willie Mays.
Oh,
right?
yeah, the best.
Right.
The best, yeah.
Wow.
Best. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you knew him in 54. You were there right there in 54.
Oh, 54, yeah. I was there when they made that catch. Yeah. No, I was there when he hit the 4 home runs in Milwaukee on a Sunday afternoon. Yeah. Oh, that's a great story behind that one. But anyway, let's get back to the Cubbies. The Cubbies. I know that for a long while there, and here you and I, we're talking about poor Don Young.
Yeah.
You're pointing a finger at somebody. Coaching third base, there is some responsibility to that, which I got to live that, but I enjoyed it. But I was always fearful of a real classic, memorable, non-memorable event, which I was fortunate in the years that I was doing that.
Right.
I never experienced that, and thank God for that, because I know when I did maybe have some doubt about my decision, I would feel
sending
real
the guy
bad.
home.
Well, I could tell you that. Yeah, we were playing in New York, Shea Stadium, and Strawberry was in right field, and we had Dave Anderson on first base, who run pretty good. We had 2 outs. Top of the 9th, we're down by 1. Ball hit out to right center field, and Strawberry goes over and gets it. He had a good arm, but it took him forever to get in position. I wouldn't say forever, but it was kind of lengthy time to get himself and his body in a throwing position. Well, keep on all that in mind, and where the runner was, and he had the ball, and then the cutoff man had the ball. I sent him, and he's out. They throw the ball at the plate, and game's over. Well, this was in September, Jeff, and we're trying to fight to get in,
right? Yeah,
playoffs, and I was sat in my locker, but I didn't feel too good, and naturally now the guys come with the microphones.
Yeah,
and what did you do? 2 throws got me. What am I going to do? Well, the nicest thing that happened was our vice president, general manager, who was unjustly crucified for his statement he made when he was on Nightline 100 years ago. Yeah. And I had the great amount of respect and fear of him, boy. Oof, both.
Wow.
And he came up to me and said, Joe, if that situation presents itself tomorrow, do the same thing.
Wow. That's great.
I slept. Follow me? I slept. Or otherwise I would have done. Right. Coming from him, because I respected him a great deal. He played the game. He played it.
Right.
Not to mix us that played it any better than the guy that didn't play it. But you've experienced it. I've learned in my lifetime, he's got experience. Well, we all do, Jeff. What matters? What the hell we do with the experience. That's the key. We all had it. Your dad had it. Billy Williams. Those guys are all, those Hall of Fame guys are your dad. They're all special guys. They're special dudes.
Yep. They sure are. They sure are. They sure are. And Joe, like you said, you took 2 throws. You got to make 2 throws, and they're perfect throws. That's the game of baseball. You know what I mean? You take that risk. Yeah.
Well, like Leo just say, tip your hat to them. That's how. Yeah, tip your hat.
Yeah.
You don't want to, but you do. You tip your hat. What the hell are you going to do?
Yeah. And getting to the Don, I know the Don Young thing affected my dad too, because he got, the blame went his way.
Yeah, I don't remember you. I don't remember your dad ever. That's something I must have not seen or read or anything. But I don't know. How did your dad get involved in that?
Well, it was some reporter misquoted him, and it went from there. And then another guy that he talked to that he had trust in, went out to dinner and just because my dad said I wasn't even really a big part of that game. You know what I mean? It was basically you guys were winning, and and then the 9th it collapsed with what happened, but it wasn't like anything my dad did in the game. He made the plays and did what he needed to do, but he just had a comment. I know that he was a little upset because Don Young wanted to leave the ballpark right away in his uniform, and just basically, my dad, like, sit down with the rest of us and, take the loss. Yeah. And it was...
you mean Don Young was going to leave Shea Stadium with the uniform on?
Yeah.
Really?
My dad said, get back to your thing. And then he did take off real quick after a shower because he heard Leo say some disparaging words about him, to the press. So the kid kind of, and that just showed you how really, Don Young never really played a full season before until that year, which was kind of, doing the whole research on it. I don't think he really was ready to endure that kind of pennant, contending season with the Cubs, who haven't been there in a long time. It seemed like maybe the pressure, of that got to the kid a little bit too, but I thought my dad would.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah,
no. I just felt my dad.
Go ahead. I want to get back to that word pressure. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think my dad just got thrown into that mix of, being the captain and.
Well, he was the captain of the team. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think he was more upset for the kid just, not putting his heart into it, more about that than the actual, everyone makes mistakes out there, physical mistakes. It was more kind of a mental thing.
Yeah. Don Young was a real quiet guy. He was not almost like a recluse. You didn't even know he was in there in the club.
Right.
But, and he probably, like you just hit it, he was inexperienced. And he didn't have probably a hell of a lot of confidence. And here he was thrown into this big fishbowl. See? Big fishbowl. I'd rather be a little fish in a big fishbowl than a big fish in a small fishbowl. Got me?
Right. Yeah, totally.
And he's probably, now that we're talking about this, pressure.
Yeah.
This is a different sport, but Ken Venturi and I were friends, and he won the U.S. Open one year, and I remember watching him. He had to play 36 holes on the same day, and he came up to 18. He looked like he had this one, and he did win. But he took this classic white hat he used to always wear. He took it off. He was walking up the fairway, and hotter than heck. They're playing in Washington, D.C., and he won. And that night, I had dinner with him at Tommy O'Leary's downtown Chicago. And I asked him, Kenny, I said, the camera on you, and you were perspiring. You took your hat off and wiped your brow and all that. I says, were you nervous? Do you feel any pressure? He says, pressure? Let me tell you about pressure, Joe. And this stuck with me. Pressure only comes when you don't know what you're doing. I love that. Listen,
wow.
You hear that? Pressure comes when you don't know what you're doing.
Totally.
Wow,
man.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Nervous and pressure are probably two different things. I think when you play, you're nervous. Yeah. But
right. But once you start going, you're always a little nervous before the game. Or you're.
Yeah, right.
Movie stars probably nervous before they do it, but once you go and do it, you lose it all. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. I don't know why I got off that.
No, that's great. This is great stuff.
Hey, your dad didn't get enough credit for his defensive skills. I talked about him when I talked to kids. He didn't like to play too deep. I always used to say, well, you don't want that ball to hit on the dirt. I don't blame him. But, he was quick. On his feet, your dad was quick.
God, he sure was, man.
You play that infield, you're either, if you're going to play in the corners, you're a guy that can hit. Your dad can hit.
Yeah.
But your dad didn't get enough credit for his defensive skills. And your dad had quick feet. And if you're going to be a good infielder, you got to have quick feet. You really do. You don't throw the ball with your feet, but your feet gets you in a position to throw the ball properly. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And just the when I, obviously I was a kid there, so you don't pay attention as much. Me and Ronnie are roaming around the ballpark a lot, but as an adult, I got to do the documentary on him and really, focus on playing also with his diabetes, during that and all those games, and just he was just a warrior,
How many times that your dad would have to have orange juice in the little runway there in the dugout at Wrigley Field, or a Hershey bar?
Yeah, Hershey bar.
What the hell is he doing with that? I didn't know he was a diabetic. I didn't even know that when I was playing with him. I didn't know
isn't
that
crazy? Yeah, this is crazy. What and his fielding. Joe, you say that. I remember during COVID, I found a thing on the internet of the game in 1969. It was a national broadcast, and these broadcasters were great. And I listened to the whole game. It was the game that Hickman hit that home run, and my dad actually went down and spontaneously clicked his heels. And
is that when he did it? Okay, yeah. Okay.
That's when he did it. That's when he first. And then Leo said, "Hey, they put it on WGN," and Leo's like, "Hey, man, maybe we do this every game when we're winning," And so, but I remember I was listening to the game though, Joe, and I was like, "Oh my God, the plays he made at third base! He made this play over his head and threw the guy out at home plate. A high hopper, got it, and then turned and threw the guy out at home plate." And I was just like. The announcers were just talking, another great play by Santo, another great play by Santo. I was like, wow, man, he must have made like 5 great plays in that game. That,
really?
Helped save a lot of runs. Yeah. So that really, I was like, oh, my God, just to hear that, like what you were just saying, he didn't really get the credit, but, boy, he was a beast over there at third base.
Oh, well, if he got his hands on the ball, you're out. That's the best way to describe that guy. If he got his hands on the ball, you're out. Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys you also had Kessinger and Becker were great,
Kessinger.
Up to,
Beck was a grinder. He was a grinder.
Well, he was
a grinder. Yeah, grinder. Yeah, he was dangerous, too, if you're sitting next to him. I'm talking street clothes. Like, he and I one day went and had a drink someplace after a game. He burnt a hole right through my alpaca sweater. He was dangerous. But he was a grinder. He was a grinder. Yeah,
he was, man.
We play an exhibition game up in Oakland Coliseum against the Athletics in the spring. And I'll never forget this. Leo gave Kessinger a day off. Kessinger took ground balls from me for 45 minutes. 45 minutes.
That's those guys did.
Yeah, and the only other guy that used to do that in my time in my career was Alfredo Griffin, who was a hell of a shortstop.
Wow.
Yeah, they would. Well, Alfredo would take ground balls the whole 15 or 20 minutes one group was hitting. You could go to the bank. He'd do that. But Kessinger, he just a lot of it he was working on his backhand. But those guys.
God. There was just a great group of guys I remember as a kid, being around them all the time. You guys really just had a great bunch of guys.
Well, they liked each other. They did. Yeah.
They did, Joe.
It was sad. It was sad.
And my dad always talked fondly of you, man, and always. So I'm just so happy I got to speak to you today, man. Thank you so much for doing this, and tell your wife thank you and hello from the Santo family.
Yeah, okay. You tell your mother again. You give your mother a hug when you see her, will you?
I sure will, Joe.
Yeah.
Such a pleasure.
Where are you living?
I'm in Burbank, California.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 818.
Yeah, I'm
818. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 818. Yeah. So I'm in. You lived out here for a while. I mean,
well, I was born and raised, Jeff, in San Pedro. My father was a commercial fisherman, and so when I joined the Dodgers, which was probably the greatest day of my baseball life, because I just had such a wonderful time, and during my time there, we won a lot of games. Anyway, that makes it nice. But my memory of the Dodger Stadium. Oh my God, Kirk Gibson's home run and all that stuff.
Everyone remembers that, man.
You and I are reminiscing over a season, which was a great season, and then it didn't end up great for us. And then you talk about that 88 team. We weren't even supposed to be in the ballpark, and here we are. I got the fact I'm looking at the trophy right now as I'm speaking to you. Yeah.
How cool is that? See, that's the thing. That's baseball, right? You just don't know what's going to happen, right?
Yeah, no, you don't. No, look at No, I had this godson. No, yeah, you don't know what's going to happen. Yeah.
No. Where did you live out here in L.A., Joe?
I lived in San Pedro.
Oh, it's San Pedro the whole time. Okay. Oh, the whole time. Okay.
That's the Port of Los. That's the Port of Los Angeles.
Yeah. I didn't. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
It's the Port of Los Angeles, Jeff. When it's a import-export record broken, and when there's a crime, it's San Pedro. That's what it was. My father was one of the one of 5 guys that started catching fish for French sardine, which became Starkist Foods. He was one of the first. He was one of 5 who started that company. Catching
That's amazing.
Fish.
That's amazing.
Great story. And
so when you came back out here, you went and lived where you grew up.
Well, not right away, because the day I got my marriage license in Chicago was the day I got the Dodger job. But that's another story. But it's a great story.
But that's a great story, though. That's a great
it's a great
story.
And so with that being said, my wife Kay, great lady. She's really got it together. This woman, she's got it together. So
that's great.
She was a hotel executive. She worked from the ground up, with her history in the hotel business, and so she came out to help a gal that she used to work with, became the general manager of the Newporter Inn in Newport. Nice property. So she left Westin Hotel, and we came out, and we lived in Huntington. We lived in Huntington Beach.
Okay.
And she went back to work with Weston because they came after her. She was like a free agent. No, she wasn't really a free agent, but they got her to come back because she knows what the hell she's doing. So
right.
We lived up in West LA, and then we moved to San Pedro. We bought a condo, and 27 miles from my parking stall at the condo to my parking stall at Dodger Stadium.
All right, that's great.
And the phone, once in a while, the phone would ring about 5 or 10 after 9 in the morning. That would be 9:05, 9:10 a.m. It would be Maxine. And Maxine was Mr. Campanis' secretary. And she would say, Joe, Mr. Campanis would like you in his office at 1:15. Well, I hung up the phone and I replayed the game from the night before. Every pitch. I'm telling you, Jeff. Now, did I screw up? And what's you going to ask? What is going on? Get in the car. 25 to 27 minutes to drive to my stall. Get out of the car. Still thinking in my mind, what is it? And here'd be Tommy in there and the coaching staff, and he would go after Tommy. And then the general offices of the Dodgers was on the 5th floor. Okay. So now instead of taking the elevator down, we were instructed by our fearless leader, Tommy, or they're in a stairwell. We had to walk all the way down, Jeff, in the stairwell. As we're going down, he is venting.
Oh,
and
God,
letting it fly. Now we get down to the ground floor, go to the left turn to go to the dressing room. We walk in there. Is get your stuff on and get in my office. And we get it again in there.
Oh. God, that's great, man. That's how it was, though. You guys are... Oh, man.
Oh, I'm telling you. I think about it. I sit back every once in a while thinking about that stuff. I start laughing like hell.
But that's how prepared you were, though. You're getting prepared. You're talking to the boss. It's just great. I mean, that's you guys.
You were on our toes. I'm telling you. I mean, one thing about the O'Malley, Peter O'Malley, who was our owner, he was the stability of the whole place.
Oh wow!
And he had great stability, and what he did, he hired people. And whatever your job was, whatever you were responsible for, you better pay attention to it. That was it.
Wow. Yeah,
and that's a great way. That's a great way to work. Yeah.
That sure is. That sure is, man. Everyone's accountable. Everyone's accountable.
There you go.
Yeah.
And what happened when we get aired out on something we did wrong? You got to be accountable for it.
Yeah, you have to be. You have to be. How long have your marriage has been? Scott, it's how many years?
Our marriage was just about 40. We got married late. Got married in Chicago.
Oh, that's great, though. That's great.
Yeah. Got married real late. I mean,
so did I.
Yeah. Really? Well, I met
that's
this
great, though.
gal,
40 years.
40 years. The day I'm repeating myself, got the marriage license and got the Dodger job. I was unemployed. Never been unemployed in my life. Here I'm going to get married. And I go, well, you're dumb. And Kay, when I tell the story, kid, you're dumb. I got to be the one who's dumb. Yeah, she had a nice job, but I didn't have any. And then I'll tell you, then we'll end up there because I love this part. So we get the marriage license, and she goes back to work at the Westin there on Michigan Avenue. And she asked me, what are you going to do? I'm going to go to the Hancock building. I might buy a tie or something downstairs. So then I go back to this condo I was sharing with a real close friend of mine on Sheridan Road. Sheridan Road.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's right on the lake. It was nice. Nice setup. So I get back in the condo and the phone rings. It's Kay, and she says, Joe, do you know a Mr. Campanis? Yes, I do. So she had a guy working for her that was real close to Mr. Campanis and Tommy, because the Dodgers used to stay at Kay's hotel. Okay.
Yeah.
So Eddie Menasian, that's the guy. He came in here and Mr. Campanis, I have this number. He wants you to call him. Really? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, okay, I'll call him. No, keep in mind, Jeff, I got no job. So I hang up. I start to think, well, what's this guy, Albuquerque, AAA, scout. What is he thinking about? So I called her back before I called him. Listen, okay, I have no idea, but he may want me to manage the AAA team, Albuquerque. That's in the Pacific Coast League. He says, I know where Albuquerque is. I said, are you all right with that? And this is a classic answer, the classic. Wherever you go, I go.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. Man.
How about that? How about that?
So now I call up the man, and he goes, Joe, and he's really... I was always heard about him, and I'd see him walking around, and I just had fear looking at him the way he walked around when I was on the other side of the field. He was a very distinguished-looking guy. And anyway,
right.
He goes, we're thinking about making a change here, and we're considering and interested in you possibly coaching third base or being the bench coach. Oh, wow. Really, yeah. And he says, so that being said, he says, I'd like to know in a couple of days what your thoughts are. I said, Mr. Campanis, I don't know what else you're thinking about, but if you're thinking about anybody else, they're all in second place because whatever it is, I'll take it. So that's great. And that's how I became the third base coach.
Joe, what a story, man. That's
great
awesome.
story.
Great story, man.
It was just, God, and I hung up, I called her back, and then I called my mother. She started crying, oh, God.
Oh, man.
It was we have memorable days, and we also have those days we don't want to remember.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. God brings that to us to keep us on our toes. But anyway, I thought I want to thank you for listening to that story.
I love it. I mean, everyone's going to love that, Joe. And Kate, it just shows that marriage. I mean, what a great omen that was. You get married, boom, here comes the great job. And those years, right?
Ain't that the truth?
And those years you had in Los Angeles were amazing. I mean, you had great teams,
we had a lot of. And I'll say this: Tommy made it fun. He was demanding. We worked hard. Oh, we worked hard. I'm going to tell you, we go on the road. I don't care whatever field it was. You know, the visiting team, usually starts taking a field at 3:40 or 3:30 or 3:40. We would take the field at 2:00. We'd practice for an hour with the guys that were the utility players. Yeah, and I don't care.
So they were ready. They were ready to go in. They were ready to go in case they needed to.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask you one last thing. Speaking of Tommy, the difference between Durocher and Lasorda? What was it? Or were they?
Well, I thought that Tommy was more. Tommy was very aggressive in his managing. He was very daring in some of his decisions. He loved the squeeze play, which is an exciting play, but when it doesn't work, it's the most ugliest play out there. And Tommy's personality, he was possibly, I would say, closer to the players than Leo.
Okay.
Leo was. I'll give you an example. Leo, bus leaves at 5:00. Leo would come down at 4:55 in the lobby.
Okay.
All right.
Gotcha. Yeah.
The bus left at 5:00. Tommy might be down there at 4:45 in the lobby.
Wow.
Understand?
Wow. Yeah.
Visible. Leo was not that way. Leo was
right. Gotcha.
Tommy was the best goodwill ambassador baseball had ever.
Yeah.
Anybody. And he was the best ambassador of the Dodgers. I'll guarantee you that. You know that Dodger blue stuff? He used to say, "You cut my veins and you Dodger blue." That's true. That is true, boy. He lived and breathed it. He did.
Wow. And
he preached that to his players. He did. He used to tell them, "It's an honor to wear this uniform." Yeah. And it was.
Yeah.
I believe that today, Jeff. Some of those guys are they at the end of the line? Now, I don't necessarily say at the end of the line, but when you put that uniform, like one time they said that about the Yankee uniform. You put that one on, you become a better player. I believe that happens with the Dodgers. I really do.
I think absolutely. You're right. That's a great. Yeah, they got a great tradition, and they're a winning organization. That's for sure. Yeah. And Leo sometimes, Leo was so almost at times bigger than the game. I mean, he was famous outside of baseball too, right?
Well, Leo, let me. Well, I think before Leo came to the Cubs, I think the Cubs would go on the road, and the most notable persons were Ernie, for sure, okay, and Jack Brickhouse, okay.
Right.
I think that every writer on the opposing teams would go to those two guys to find out what's going on with the Cubs. I really do.
Right.
I mean, well, not inside information, but what's going on?
Yeah.
And both of those guys were knowledgeable.
Yep.
But, when Leo came, those guys they were all in second and third place. You got it?
Right. Yep.
He said that in a meeting in Long Beach when first year. He had a meeting and Jack Brickhouse was in that clubhouse in Long Beach, which that was a disaster. I used to play my high school games on that field. Yeah, but Mr. Wrigley anyway, we had to train there at Long Beach. Couldn't get on the field till 10 or 11 o'clock because the field was damp from the moisture and anyway. Leo, they're taping a team meeting. Leo is the chairing the meeting. And Jackson's in there, and WGM is taping it. Leo's on a roll. All of a sudden, he just said, "Well, the way it was around here before, there's Mr. Wrigley sitting there, and Jack Brickhouse is trying to get on one knee. Charlie Grimm's trying to get on the other knee. Yosh Kawano, he even mentioned Yosh. Jesus Christ, this was disastrous. He's trying to sit on the knee. Well, there'll be no more of that. I'm here." I remember going outside. I remember your father said, "Hey, what's he doing?" "Oh, it ain't nothing." It ain't nothing, pal. This he's the main event. He's the guy. So
he's the guy.
Now, here's Yosh, who he took a shot at Yosh, and Yosh was, an institution there. And now Yosh is, he's almost crying.
Oh.
And he comes to me, that guy can't talk about me like that. Oh, Yosh, he's just trying to tell all these people in here he's the boss. There's no more of this and that. No more rumors of it. He is the guy. Legion. So I got to go out and tell Leo, I'm a player, Jeff. I'm a player. I'm not coaching. Hey, Leo, I think you might have a problem here or what? That guy's in there. He took offense to what you said. Did you talk to him? Did you tell him what I was trying to do? Without me, I didn't get that from him. I knew that the way Leo was. I knew he's going to make a statement here.
Oh, wow.
I told him. I said, but he's got to hear it from you. So you left the field and went in and talked to him. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Then they were like brothers. Yeah.
And
all right.
And my dad got along with Leo. It seemed like, right? Yeah, until, few things, but, two type A personalities.
There you go. You got it.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Joe, that's wonderful stuff, man.
God bless you.
Awesome.
Jeff.
All right, Joe. Talk to you later, man. Thanks again. I sure will.
Stay healthy and stay safe. Bye.
You too, man. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
This Santo moment is brought to you by Onesti Entertainment. On February 13th, 1964, Ron Santo's close friend and teammate, Kenny Hubbs, the 1962 National League Rookie of the Year and the Cubs' second baseman, was killed in a private plane crash that he was piloting, just weeks before the start of spring training. Father Rourke, a Chicago Catholic priest, traveled to Mesa, Arizona to counsel Ron and fellow teammates through the loss. Ron turned the sadness into mental focus to be the best in the game in honor of Hubbs, and had one of his best seasons, hitting .313 with 30 home runs, driving in 114 runs, and was awarded with his first Gold Glove. That Santoid was brought to you by Onesti Entertainment.
I'm going to crackerjack call Christie's Godfather, Chips Conlon. This would be a fun call. Here we go.
Crackerjack. This call is being recorded.
Hello?
Hello, Paula.
I'm here with Chip.
Chips. Yes, I'm trying to call Chips. Is he there?
You got me.
Happy birthday, man.
Oh, thank you. It went through on my watch the first time you called, and I'm trying to figure out how to talk on my watch.
Hey, you're my crackerjack call.
Was that good?
Yeah, that's good. You're on my podcast. So,
okay.
I wanted to call you on your birthday. How old are you, Chips?
82 yesterday.
Wow, man. I wanted to call you yesterday, but you guys were out. So,
yeah, we were over on the coast with our youngest son and his family, and sitting on the beach and beautiful weather, having a cold beer.
Hey, Jeff.
Yes.
Hey, Jeff. I don't want to pop in on this, but I'm not sure Chipper realizes what a crackerjack call is.
That's okay. That's okay.
Okay, well,
That's okay. I love that I got both of you guys on. Now, I want to say this, first of all. 82 years old, Chips, you're in great health. It's you've been through a lot, and it's amazing, man. What's the secret, first of all?
Well, I made a living exercising with my kids at school.
There you go. Wow.
So, and my cardio, my whole life, I was a fast swimmer, 4 years in high school, and then I got into triathlons, and now at 82, I just did it Saturday morning. I swim 2,000 yards, and then I take a deep breath and swim the length of the pool without breathing, which people my age generally don't do.
No. Wow, man, that's amazing. You swam the channel too, Christie said, right? What was that?
Tahoe.
Oh, no, Tahoe. Well, I've done Golden Gate.
You did the Golden Gate to
Golden
Alcatraz?
Gate's not the hardest thing I ever did. I did Alcatraz several times with my sons and some friends. And then I did Alcatraz was the hardest thing.
And then
Wow.
And then the family did a relay on Lake Tahoe for 25 miles or something.
That's amazing, man. Doing Alcatraz. What's that like? I mean, the choppy waters and what about the sharks?
That's what everybody asks about the sharks. The great whites, there's not much they want to eat in the bay. So they stay out in the ocean. If they come in, they get into the muddy water and the currents, and they turn around and leave. You rarely see one in the bay.
That still, though, I mean, you got to ask about
that doesn't mean they don't come in, and you might, it's a tricky swim. You got to swim into the current. They try and, in sailing terms, it's called slack water. It's between the tide change. It's, between high and low or low and high. So if it's coming in, it's called a flood tide. And the last time I did it, this other gal, I had her kids in school, and we pulled up side by side after, a quarter mile or half a mile, and you could just see the land on San Francisco was going to the right, meaning we were going to the left, which was Berkeley. And
wow.
She said, "What's going on?" And I said, "They screwed up on the time. The flood has kicked in earlier than they thought, and you can't swim against 5, 6 knots of current." So everybody was getting pushed way to the left. So I said, "Just get behind me. We're going to haul butt over get us across to the seawall as fast as we can." So we got over there, and I said, "All right, now there's less current in here," because I spent my life sailing on the bay. Current was a big deal when you don't have an engine. So
right.
I said, "So get right behind me, Lori." I said, "You just draft on me. We're going to swim as close to the wall, a foot or so off, because there's less current there." And we had to swim, I don't know, a mile, half a mile up to the opening. And then once we got into Aquatic Park, where the race ends, it was like, "Oh, this is easy. We're not moving anymore." We're not getting pushed. So
right. Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of strategy involved.
That's amazing. And I want to say this, too. You and Paula are Christie's godparents and the best godparents ever. You've been so great to her, especially through this time right now. On this episode, we talked about Christie's mom going through what she's going through, and Paula's been so wonderful in helping Adrian and Christie, but you guys have been just like, your family, and I feel like your family, knowing you both. So I just want to say, just thank you for everything you've done for my wife, and I just love being around.
I'm a godfather.
You are the godfather, man.
You can't walk away, can you? I don't know.
No.
Somebody be out in the street looking for you.
Right? I got to say, I have some, that's so true. And you guys are wonderful godparents. And I have some good godparents too. The Matarices, when I grew up, Big Joe was his name. And, my dad, when he came to Chicago, he went to the Italian neighborhood and they were the first to kind of bring him in. So I always think highly of godparents. They have such a cool role, and they're always there for you. And you guys have been...
That's part of their deal.
Jeff, I have to say it's been great getting to know the Matarices through your podcast.
Oh, yeah. Right.
I feel like I've met them just from your conversations, and it's pretty, it's wonderful. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Paul. Yeah, they were a big part of my childhood growing up, when my dad played ball. So that was special. And boy, how long, Paula, have you guys been married for?
58 years.
Wow. Tell me the secret of that now, too. Tell me that. And you're both are just...
I went on one blind date.
The secret, I guess, Jeff, is just hanging in there. I think we fell in love. We made a decision to get married. We had a family, and everything went pretty smoothly. We had our ups and downs, and but nothing major. And, our love never changed through all those ups and downs. We just were committed to each other, to our kids. And whenever there was a problem, we worked through it, because not having it, we couldn't imagine, So I think the secret is just hanging in there. When it's the right thing, you just hang in there when things go a little off key for a while. But they get back.
We didn't have a lot of that.
And they get better.
We're blessed with two really great guys. Our sons are wonderful.
And a pretty just even keeled life,
Yeah. And their wives are, actually, I had both of them were my students. So
that's amazing. Both of your sons' wives were your students too?
Yeah. They were in my classes. One was in the 7th grade, one was in the 8th grade, so I had them both at the same time.
That's amazing. And how many years did you teach, Chips?
37.
Oh, wow. But I've seen all the stories. Obviously, a lot of people wrote to you over the years, the kids that you had in classes, and you touched so many people, and it's just amazing. And just staying at your home, Redwood City. I love where you guys grew up. I kind of grew up in the same middle class area. It's nice. It's a nice town, good schools, and just a really cool life. And I love Northern California too, where you guys live. So I can't wait to get back up there and visit both of you. I hope soon, maybe this fall.
We'll be here. Yeah, I go outside sometimes, and a couple of guys are walking by, and gray-haired guys. Hey, coach, and I'm going, damn, these guys got old.
Right? That has to be strange. How did you guys get in? How did you get into sailing? How did that come about?
I had an interest in it. I went to Hawaii when I graduated from high school, and a friend of mine had a really nice boat, which was an Olympic class sailboat, and he had taught me to sail. I was over there for like 3 or 4 weeks after graduation. His name was Charlie Dole, as in pineapple. That Dole. And so he taught me to surf. And I've never been on an airplane before, so it was a 12-hour flight on a DC-6, and I'm thinking, oh boy, are we gonna make it? I mean, I've never been on a plane before, and we've been up here for half a day, and we're not there yet. So a little intimidating, but anyway, so we landed, and he had me surfing for a couple of days, and I always wanted to surf, and I came home and I started, and I didn't stop for decades. And then one day his dad said, hey, Chips, would you like to go sailing? And I said, yes, sir, I'd love to. And he took me out on his boat, which was a Olympic class boat. And there was a lot of technical things on it. But I just got on it and I started sailing. And he said, you done this before? And I said, no, sir. And he said, you're instinctive. He said, you can't tell me what you're doing, but you're doing it right. I said, okay. And so he took me a couple of days later. He said, you want to go again? I said, yep. And so I came home and I got my brother and a good friend. I said, we need to buy a sailboat. And they said, why? I said, because I just learned how to sail and I love it. And so we threw in $100 in 1960 and bought an old oak hulled. This boat was so heavy, you hit the dock broke. So it was built for beginners. Some priests actually in a seminary close by, they had built it there, and so it was a blessed boat, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
Anyway,
how did you so you bought a boat you threw in $100 a piece and you got a boat and that's how you started? You've been sailing ever since?
Yeah. Matter of fact, we just got rid of the boat. We just donated it. Couldn't sell it because a guy wanted to buy it, and he took it across the bay to have it inspected. Where the wires that support the mast, they're called stays, and where they went through the deck, I hadn't noticed, but the deck was delaminating. So it was just torquing and tearing itself open. The boat was really old. And so I was asking $25,000 for the boat, and the repair was going to be a little over $20,000. So I said, oh, great. The guy who wanted to buy it after it got surveyed, he says, no, never mind, I don't want it. So I donated it to some outfit, and I was doing pretty good. Everybody keeps saying, "How you doing without a boat now? You sailed your whole life, you don't have a boat." I said, "I'm doing pretty good." Then my brother-in-law took me out with a guy who was a swimmer at our club where I work out, and I knew who he was, and so he took me sailing, and we're coming around Angel Island heading towards Alcatraz. He said, and I'm thinking, this is great. I'm okay. I don't need a boat. And then he said, "You want to take the wheel?" And I said, "Yeah." And I got on the wheel, and instantly, just like crushing, I just said, "Oh boy, I'm still missing the heck out of this." So,
how many years did you sail for? Did you have your boat for?
Let's see. I started when I was 18, and if you take the 1 and the 8 and switch them to 81, that's when I stopped. That's when I got rid of the boat. So whatever that is, 63 years.
Wow, God, 63 years. So did you have a harbor spot for that many years?
Most of it, yeah. Not all of it, but most of it, yeah. I moved to San Francisco and I couldn't get in up there. I wanted to get into South Beach where the Giants ballpark is.
Right.
And the ballpark wasn't there, so I took a place a few miles south in another old marina. And then I got a call saying, "Hey, we got a berth for you." And I said, "Fantastic." So I moved it up, and I could go up there every day, and I had to clean it. And if the prevailing wind blew right over the ballpark, which was just a skeleton at the time, and the construction and the dirt and bulldozers.
Right.
And so a lot of people left. They just said, "They're not staying. There's a crap hole." And all of a sudden, there were empty berths everywhere. So a lot of new boats just got brought in because there was a list. People wanted it. It was a great place to be. I mean, you could walk downtown, was 2 blocks away, and the ballpark was right there. The ferry building, Fisherman's Wharf, about a 20-minute walk. It was the place to be.
Yeah, wow, that's something.
So,
that's something.
Yeah, so I've got through it pretty good, except for the sailing a couple of weeks ago. I got a little teary-eyed, but it costs $6,000 a year to tie it to the dock. So,
right. Well, that's amazing, Chips. And how many grandchildren do you and Paula have?
4. Our older boy Tim, he's got 2 girls one just graduated from college, the other was a sophomore at Alabama, and then younger brother's got 10 and 11-year-olds. And the 10-year-old is a total jock. He's 7 years old. He wants to be practicing 3-point shots. And I had him up at my old school shooting hoops, and I said, "What are you doing out there? Get in here. You're 7." And then he starts bombing him in. I said, "Oh, wait a minute. Never mind." You see
that's great.
Yeah, he's a gunner. He's a good little athlete, and he's a great kiddo, and they both are. So we're just, we can't count our blessings. We have too many.
Yeah, that's great. And are you watching Olympics?
The volleyball right now.
Yeah. What are you liking out of it? What sport you like watching the best?
Oh, I like watching almost all of them because I coached all of them and taught it. And I didn't just coach them, but we taught all these sports in class. I mean, gymnastics, everything, vaulting, trampoline. 7th graders, 12-year-olds, we had them on the trampoline doing flips and everything, and I would demonstrate everything. So I was on a trampoline doing flips and stuff. So everything I did, I did it in front of them so they could see, and they probably thought I was 100 years old when I was 45 or something. But I'm watching the Olympics and I get teary-eyed because I can remember kids that I coached that went on and did pretty well in sports and things. And I had a little handicapped boy who ended up, I got him to run with us, and he won a meet in the handicap Olympics. He won a mile and went to Chicago and won a gold medal when he was 12.
Oh, wow.
And when he came back, we had the opening of the year school reward. And I said to the principal, "Can I have a couple of minutes?" And he was a Special Olympics in Chicago. And he ended up there because I said that I got hold of some people who said, "This guy is a gift. He can't tell you what he's doing, but he just finds the fastest runner and runs next to him with a big smile on his face." And I said I had to teach him to win because he didn't want to pass the guy. He just wanted to be with him. And I had people drop back quickly at the finish line, and then we'd all cheer like crazy. So anyway, he ended up one summer after his 7th grade. He went to Chicago with the Special Olympics and was taken care of, and he won a gold medal for his age group. So he came back. We had an award assembly like the first 3 or 4 weeks of school, and opening and greeting the kids. And I asked the principal, can I have a couple of minutes for Larry? And he said, Larry? And I said, yeah. I said, just can I have a few minutes? He said, yeah. So I got a hold of the handicap class, whatever we called them. We didn't special class maybe. Anyway, I said, can I get Larry? You're going to be there. I want to call him up on the stage so he can get acknowledged for the amazing thing that he did. A gold medal in the United States. And so we got in there, and the principal said, we're about ready to wrap. Can you bring him up? So I went and got him and brought him up on the stage. And, 300 kids stood up and applauded. And
that's great.
Said, why are they clapping? Sorry. I said, for you, buddy. I told that story 100 times, and I cry every time.
Oh, man. That's beautiful. That's
why you teach. That's why you teach it.
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
You're not
wow,
looking for a paycheck.
Yep. Touched a lot of people's lives, Chips, and mine and Christie's too, you and Paula. And I want to ask you, now Paula was a flight attendant when you met her, or no? Because Christie's mom was one. Tell me about that.
Well, I went on a blind date with Paula in August 8th, 1964, the night after my birthday we met. And I had been away at school.
Wait, the night after your birthday?
Yeah, a buddy of mine said, hey, do you...
So like today, this is an anniversary of the time you met, the day after your birthday, basically.
Yeah.
Wow.
August 8th, 60,
oh my God, August 8th. Do you know that me and Christie met on August 8th? We're going out tonight. We met on 8/8/8, and we're going out to celebrate 16 years tonight, right now. That is amazing.
Yeah.
Holy moly. So tell me about that. So, what's that?
I said, no wonder we're godparents.
Yeah, right. So tell me now. August 8th. Oh, that's amazing, man. So tell me, so you had a blind date. Tell me how that went.
Oh, it went great. I just, my buddy said, she's pretty cute. And I said, yeah, all right, I'm in. And I never ever went on a blind date. I said, if I can't get my own, I never mind. And so it was my first blind date. And so I lived in Palo Alto, south of us, about 10 miles. And so I rang the door, and she came and opened the door, and I thought, oh my gosh, she's really cute. And then the drama started. There's a little guy about 6 months old crawling around on the floor, and I said, uh-oh, who's that? She said, that's my baby brother. And I said, right. Okay, whatever you say. And it was her baby brother. So I'm like, whoa, your mother had a baby at her age? But they were a good Catholic family, so, there were 6 babies.
Right.
The Protestants, we didn't do that. So anyway, yeah. So that's how we met, and I'd been home from school maybe, I guess about 2 months. And it was the night after my birthday, and it was a epic moment.
Yeah, I'd say. Holy cow! And what did Paula think of you when she first saw you?
Hello?
Paula?
She's hanging around here.
I'm here. It was a heart-pounding moment, Jeff.
Oh, that's great.
He was, he's a couple years older, and he had a fancy car. How could your heart not pound?
Wait a minute. So my age and my car, that's it.
Hey, it worked, man.
Yeah, whatever works. Yeah, I had a red Porsche Speedster, and nobody had one of those. And I should have.
God, you and my dad both, man. That's great.
Yeah, when I took it to Mexico, the people looked at it like, what the hell kind of car is that? I said, I must be in Mars or something. They didn't know what a Porsche was. They didn't know where to put the gas.
Oh, my God.
But so that was the beginning. Yeah.
That's just a beautiful story and a beautiful family. I'm so happy to know both of you, and I can't wait to see you again soon, okay? And thanks again with Adrian and everything. I know Christie's coming up there soon.
Love you, Godfather.
Thank you. Love you too.
Love you.
Oh God, love you guys. Have a great night tonight, and we're going to celebrate too. Celebrate. We're going out right now to celebrate 888. So, all right, you guys.
Well,
That's
I'm
beautiful.
going to have a cold beer to start with, and we'll work it from there.
There you go. Me too. All right, right on. All right, guys. Bye, Chits. Bye, Paula. Talk to you soon. All right, bye.
Okay.
Thanks for listening. And we have some great guests coming around the corner. So keep in touch with Peanuts, Popcorn, and Cracker Jacks. You don't want to miss these guests.
And special thanks to our cool Cracker Jacks, Scott Nelson, Jim McCauley, Debbie Foley, Sherry Matarisi, Terry O'Brien, Gary Tallman, Anne-Marie Biscuel, Jim Muleschlegel, Liz Rutherford, and Mac McPhillamy.
This show is made possible because of them and all of our subscribers. If you want to support the show and be a cool Cracker Jack yourself, subscribe on our Patreon page, click the link button below this episode, or go to the Patreon tab on our website, www.peanutspopcornandcrackerjacks.com.
Remember to click the follow button for the next episode and leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
And don't hesitate to write. Give us a suggestion or tell us how you like the show, whatever you want to do. Email jeff.ppcpodcast@gmail.com.
And don't forget to get your Peanuts, Popcorn, and Cracker Jacks t-shirt at santofilms.com. Much thanks for supporting the show.
For my closing quote, to live is to suffer. To survive is to find some meaning in the suffering. Friedrich Nietzsche.
Toodaloo!
SantoFilms.com, the place to buy This Old Cub DVDs, posters, and This Old Cub t-shirts. Get yourself one now at SantoFilms.com.